We have managed over 57 million in meta ad spend across over 100 different brands after scaling multiple companies from 100k to 500k to over $2 million per month in revenue. I can tell you exactly why you're stuck. It isn't your media buying, it isn't the algorithm, it's the fact that you are the bottleneck. Most founders at the 100 to 500k a month level are still guessing on creative. You're making more ads hoping that something sticks while your team waits for you personally on direction. And at this level, more content is a black hole for your capital. What you need is an iteration loop, a way to turn a single data point into a 100k per month winning angle. And in the next 11 minutes, I'm stripping away the fluff and I'm going to show you the exact creative data system we use to build evergreen winning angles that don't fatigue. This is how you stop gambling and start scaling your ad account. Now, pillar one to this is market signal mapping, which is a foundation. And the concept of this is that you don't actually brainstorm angles, you mine them from your customers directly. So at 500k per month, your own intuition, your own kind of brainstorming on Google Meet is your biggest liability. What you actually want to look for is your customer's specific words. Now, I'm going to give you an example right now of how you can do this. So we're on Amazon right now, going with Rise Mushroom Coffee. This is the example we're going with at the minute. And if you go down to the review sections, you can start to mine reviews and get your actual customers' reviews and use your customers' reviews. So this goes from Amazon reviews, you can use TikTok sections, comment sections, Facebook ad comment sections, your review sections on your website, your actual post-purchase surveys work really well. For example, right here, we've got 2 months and they're already seeing results. They're starting to see difference in thought and cognitive skill. So far, pleased with the results. There's an angle for you that you might not have. Mushroom coffee is cognitive skill, which is super impressive. So you could actually use that as an angle in your ads. Another review here, I feel energized after I drink it and it makes my digestive system feel better as well. So you could actually take that as an angle. You could use it as a hook. You could put that in quotes, like quotation marks, and use that as a headline on a static ad. You could use it as a hook in a UGC ad as well. So that's how you can start to take reviews at the very basic level and use them in your ads as well. Right here, this is a really good angle. So it's basically someone saying that they're using this product after they got pregnant. It keeps them going after I've got 5 kids. However, you can also see that they're comparing it to a competitor. So Everyday Dose Coffee is much better tasting than the Rise coffee. So I have Rise matcha every morning with Everyday Dose Coffee in the early afternoon. That's basically, you can start to see, okay, they've got other solutions that they're looking for. So how can you handle that objection in your ads? Maybe you could mention that in your ads if that keeps cropping up, and you could say, okay, Everyday Dose is tastier, however it's because it's got extra sugar, so it's unhealthy. So you could create some kind of angle there if that was something that keeps cropping up in your ads. So something that you really want to look for is the failed solution in your competitors' ad. When they've tried a product in the past and it didn't work, you can use that as your angle in your ad. So some research, if you were selling Rise Mushroom Coffee, you could look through the different coffee alternatives. So you could come on Reddit, open up a post that says coffee alternatives that actually work, and you can scroll through here and find ginger tea, for example, other things that people have tried that might not work, and create actual angles with this. So you can find failed solutions that your customers have tried and then use this as an actual angle. And this is where you can get tons of good angles that you can actually scale into, because you're finding things that large amounts of people have actually tried in the past and then creating angles around it. I'm going to draw 2 boxes inside Miro just so you can really map this out and see clearly what I mean. So right here, we've got your product. So I'm going to put a PR. No, this is your product, and your product probably has tons of different benefits, but we also have another box over here, and one specific persona will have different overlapping points that your product solves, and this will work in many different ways. So if I just zoom out a little bit here, you'll have multiple personas, and some might overlap, some might not overlap, that your product actually solves. So it's about basically figuring out what product benefits overlap with different personas, and this is based on the customer reviews, based on the actual insights from your customers. And this section here is what we call the market signal. So this is what the market is actually telling you it cares about, and you want to be making your ads in these parts that overlap here. So that's where your best angles are going to come from. And now, don't get me wrong, some things will definitely cross over in different personas, but this is how you want to be kind of mapping out your research, figuring out the personas that line up with your product benefits, because each of these personas will care about different things. Very important that you also cover the angles. Pillar 2, we're going to talk about diversity over volume. And then finally, we're going to talk about how you can systematize all of this. But before we move on, we really want to focus on the angle matrix, because volume without diversity is just creative noise. So if you only run UGC, you're missing 60% of the market. Might only buy from authority like founder and scientific content, or they might want static ads. It's very important that you have diverse volume in here. Now I'm going to run through what I mean. So we could have scientific angle here. So let's just put sci. We could also have emotional. Now these are just kind of very broad because we don't have a specific product. We've got emotional, we've got us versus them, which is a favorite. I'll put UVT, and I'll also put social proof as well. Those are some different angles. So you can see we've got the main angles here, but as well as angle diversity, we also want format diversity as well. So if we put a line through each of these, and we can begin to show different formats. So some different formats could be static ads, for example. So I'll put S for static. We could have podcast, so I'll put a P for podcast. We can have founder, so I'll put an F, and we'll have UGC, which everyone's heard of. So you can see on the left-hand side, we've got different formats. On the top, we've got different angles. Now, this is a very basic way of how you want to start mapping out. Now, we use a creative tracker, and if you want access to that, go to mediaengineer.com/ad tracker, and you can get access to our actual ad creative tracker that we use. And this diversity will ensure that you don't have creative fatigue. And as well as this, once you start doing well with this, you can start thinking about the full funnel as well, because you can have personas. If we just move over to the right here, we can have one person right here. So the same one person that is they resonate with the scientific angle, they resonate with the static ads, but they've never heard of the product. So then you're gonna have to be educating them at the top of funnel. In the middle of funnel, you're gonna have to be kind of moving them through the funnel and nurturing them. And finally, you'll be converting them. So you could have a long form static that educates them. You could have us versus them that nurtures them and shows comparison between two ads. And you could have a bottom of funnel offer static that converts. So that's how you can start to map out the angle matrix. And if you do this, it'll basically be your way of being able to scale. A lot of the time, if you are scaling and you are seeing ROAS increase, it's because you don't have a full funnel of creatives in the ad account. Pillar 3 is the iteration, which is how we can actually make ads, identify the winning ads, and then make more. So the whole feedback loop, and we call it the iteration loop, but it's how we turn one winner into 100 different winners. And this is what we call the execution engine. So you can see we're on a creative tracker for a client of ours at the minute, and we've just got to run over it to show you how we use this to decrease the time that it takes for us to learn from ads. So we have format, type, and status. So this will actually just be giving us a bird's eye overview, the style of creative, whether it's a studio ad, a static ad, a GIF, or UGC, if it's net new or an iteration, a B-roll ad, and the status of it, and then links to the actual ads. We put the concept in here and the angle. So the concept is just kind of the broad idea, and the angle is like how we actually speak into the customer specifically. So for here, we have problem solution, about anxiety relief, then we have ADHD, meeting survival angle, then we have the avatar. So we're actually mapping out who that specific person is, because it's important, and a lot of our creative structures will do the work in the creative tracker. So we have angle, we have the avatar, and we have the awareness level, and from this we can begin our naming convention. Now you can make your naming convention as specific or as short as possible. We have clients with super long ones, clients with super short ones, but the goal is we are consolidating our learnings. So we really want to have in our naming convention angle, the format, the persona that you target him as a minimum, and then you can go as long, landing page, offer, and everything like that. But the benefit of this is it makes media buying much easier, and it makes creative strategy much easier, because we can then create angle leaderboards that actually rank your ads based on angle, based on persona, based on individual, so you can actually consolidate learnings, and it makes it stupidly obvious what ads you need to make next without tons of creative strategy. It gives you a bird's eye view, and you can look as the founder, okay, what are the winning angles in the ad account this week? Now the final pillar is pillar 4, which is removing the founder bottleneck, because scaling to 500k, $1 million a month requires a system that runs without you. So yeah, you can use an agency like us that takes care of everything, or you can create SOPs and systems and try and build this internally. So I'll be showing you how you can actually build this internally, so you can go ahead and make sure that your team are making iterations, because your editors, your team should know what to make on a Monday morning without having to send you a Slack message, without having to confirm this with you. So I've got an example of an old SOP that we used to use and a client used to use when they actually had a winning ad. So this is when it would trigger when ad performance exceeds a target ROAS of 2.5 for over 72 hours. That would kick this off. So they had a bit of a bigger setup, and they'd have testing and validated and then scaling. So that'd be their 3 stages, and then identify the winner signal. So what is it that we think is making it high? So you could say maybe it's the click-through rate. So what is the metric is making it higher? So obviously CPA and ROAS is much better to make it a winner than the target. However, if you look at your average numbers in the ad account, and we use like CPM, click-through rate, AOV, and conversion rate. If we look at those 4 metrics, which are the only ones that go into CPA or ROAS, what is the main difference? That's usually the main ones that we'll be looking at. Maybe it's AOV, or maybe it's click-through rate, and then you can kind of get an idea of what it is about that creative specifically. Now we have a few different phases here. So I'll leave it on the screen so you can actually see what this is. But you can see when it's actually validated, there's a triple trigger here. So the hook scale, variations of the hook, format flip, so turn it into a static ad as well. Then the environment refresh, so send the winning script to 2 different creators. So their founders use, and we kind of help them build this. But as soon as they had a winning ad, they could actually use this to create new ads. So the founders weren't involved, which is amazing to have those systems in place. And you can tweak this based on your findings as well. So you don't want to just have one static SOP. You can see this is version 2.4. So eventually this is what they got to after many variations. It's about kind of, you just start with the systems, and once you get them in place, you can iterate on them based on the results that you're seeing. Because I see it so often where founders are having to approve every single creative, and if you have to approve every creative, every headline, you've pretty much built a job. You're not a brand, you're not a business owner, you're still in the weeds. So you want to create a system that works without you, and give your team or agency, if you're working with an agency like us, we can kind of handle it all. But if it's your team that's handling it, you need to give them obviously the space to be able to manage that themselves. So we've just covered the exact system that has allowed us to deploy over 57 million in spend whilst maintaining profitable ROAS for our partners. This is how we take brands from 500k to 1.4 million in 90 days. It isn't magic, it's an operational commitment to creative data. So it's about finding that data. Now you can take this framework and try to build the infrastructure yourself. You can hire the editors, find the creators, manage the tracking. But if you're a founder doing over 500k a month, 250k a month, or around 100k per month, and your goal is to get up to those $1 million months, and you want my team to install this entire creative data system for you, from the research to production to iteration, then I've opened up a few slots this month for a custom creative audit. So click the link below, fill out the form on our site, and if you're a good fit, we'll map out exactly which angles you should be scaling right now. But if you want to see our full A to Z process, check out the video on screen, and make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.